Revealed. 3 spine-chilling true suburban horror stories of sinister secrets and haunted lives. Emily's heart raced as she unlocked her front door. An ordinary evening for a woman in a picture-perfect neighborhood, yet the air was thick with something sinister. The rain drummed a rhythm against the roof, like a horror movie soundtrack. Just moments ago, she'd been serving families at the diner, smiles plastered on, unaware of the chilling secrets lurking behind the white picket fences. What if behind every manicured lawn and friendly wave was a hidden darkness? Her fingers fumbled as she sorted through the day's mail. Junk, bills, and then an anonymous note, its message striking like icy thunder. Beware the man with a golden heart. He is not who he seems. A pulse of terror surged through her as she glanced at the smiling philanthropist in the family portrait on the wall. The man her children adored, now cast in an unsettling shadow. What truth lurked beneath the surface of this suburban paradise? Her mind raced with questions, dread pooling in her stomach like a stone. The onslaught of bizarre happenings began to weigh on her sanity. The elderly couple next door, with shadows in their eyes. The family that vanished 5 years ago, their empty house haunted with whispers of betrayal. And the teenage girl who had seen too much, her silence heavier than a grave. Each light conversation felt laced with hidden meanings, every harmless chuckle hiding treacherous secrets. Could her neighbors be living nightmares behind those friendly smiles? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tension escalated. A flicker of light caught her attention outside the window. Strange, blinking devices hidden among the trees. Were they cameras? Eyes watching from the shadows? The feeling of paranoia gripped her throat like a vice. Every friendly wave became a potential threat, a smile hiding blades behind polished teeth. On a stormy night, she felt unease crawl over her skin as she stepped out, her heartbeat muffled by the pounding rain. The playground, usually echoing with laughter, stood still and silent, like a graveyard swallowed by despair. Her breath caught in her chest when she discovered the surveillance gear, discarded toys lying atop it like rusted bones. Just as she pieced together the horrific narrative, the figure of the philanthropist emerged from the shadows. His grin was disarming, yet beneath it lay an intensity that froze her blood. "Emily, what are you doing out here?" His voice dripped with a honeyed charm, but the menace curled around the edges like smoke, suffocating her. What kind of monster had woven itself into the fabric of her life, hiding among her neighbors? With the stakes now heightened for her and her children, every decision became a matter of life or death. She took a step back, wrestling with uncertainty. Could she trust her instincts, or would ignorance be her only path to survival? Darkness whispered her name, daring her to plunge deeper into the horrors lurking just outside. The rain fell heavily, drenching the world in shadows as Emily felt an urge to retreat. Yet, a fierce curiosity tamed her instinct to run. She had to confront this monster, to expose the truth before it devoured her whole. The philanthropist's eyes sparkled not with kindness, but with a predatory glint that chilled her heart. "Just taking a stroll," she managed to say, her voice trembling like the leaves in the wind. She forced a smile, but her mind screamed for her to flee. Could she risk turning her back to him? He stepped closer, rain slicking his hair against his forehead, which only seemed to accentuate the deceptive charm of his features. "A stroll? In this weather? The streets can be dangerous, you know." His words were laced with a mock concern that pricked at her. Danger? He was the closest thing to danger she felt. As he stood in the dim light filtering from the street lamps, she noticed the faint outline of something tucked beneath his jacket, an object that discreetly promised violence. Tightening her grip on her phone, she subtly activated the camera, her heart pounding louder than the rain. What if she needed evidence? "Is everything all right?" he asked, his tone silky but laced with an undercurrent of something darker. The question felt like a balloon ready to pop, carefully inflated but on the cusp of detonation. "Yeah, just a bit nervous," she stuttered. "You know, strange things happen at night." "Strange things?" He tilted his head, amusement dancing in his eyes. Like people going missing? Her breath hitched. What did he know? Did he know about the family that vanished? Had he been involved? She felt the ground shift beneath her feet, panic rising within her like bubbles in boiling water. Enough was enough. Her instincts screamed that she wouldn't find safety conversing any longer. When she turned to leave, he reached out, brushing a finger lightly against her arm. His touch sent a jolt of ice through her veins. Don't be scared, Emily. I only want to help you. Her heart raced, and she jerked back like a trapped animal. Help me? Or are you just another mask hiding something darker beneath? A flicker of anger crossed his face, a flash of something more savage than she'd ever expected. It transformed him instantly. Careful, Emily. With that tone, her mind was flooded with memories. Nathan, the vanished parents, how everything about this town was suffocating her. She fled, retreating back toward her house, her breath hitching in her throat. Each step echoed with her fractured nerves, dragging her body against the weight of impending dread. Slamming the door shut behind her, she leaned against it, heart racing. Had he followed her? What was next? Frantically, she peered through the rain-streaked window, but he was gone. There was only darkness. The tension in her home grew thick, stifled with secrecy and fears she dared not voice. As she moved toward her living room, something caught her eye, a flicker of light from her children's room. They were supposed to be asleep. She stepped cautiously, each movement measured. The door creaked as she pushed it open, dread pooling like lead in her stomach. What awaited her in the room? Was it simply her children, or something far worse? A low whisper danced through the air. Help us. Emily's heart stopped. Who was calling? And why did the voice sound so eerily familiar? The darkness loomed, promising dire secrets and grim truths veiled just beyond the threshold of her understanding. What had she roused in her quest for answers? And would she have the strength to confront it? As she stood frozen, the whisper echoed again. Help us this time, she knew. It was a plea, but from who? Her heart thundered as she prepared to face the dark truth, teetering on the edge of revelation. Would she have the courage to uncover what lurked in the shadows of her perfect nightmare, or would she find herself swallowed whole by it? The nursery was darker than she had ever seen it. The flicker of light pulsed ominously, casting shifting shadows that twisted across the walls. The whisper echoed in Emily's mind, a chilling mantra that clawed at her sanity. Help us, it resonated, like a bell tolling a warning she dared not ignore. Kids? She whispered, her voice barely slicing through the thick silence. The room felt charged with fear, an electricity that crackled in the air. She took a cautious step inside, expecting to be met by warm, sleepy faces. Instead, her pulse quickened as she found only darkness and that unnatural glimmer of light. A sudden thought cut through her. Had they come to harm? Were they even in the room at all? Her legs felt heavy, like lead weights dragging her down. The whispers seemed to draw her closer, daring her to uncover their source. Help us, the plea wafted through the air again, more desperate, more insistent. Emily steadied herself against the door frame, heart racing. Where are you? The response came not from the kids, but from the shadows in the corner. A figure began to materialize, a slight silhouette shifting, veering in and out of the pale light's glow. A shudder ran down her spine. Who are you? She fought to keep the tremor from her voice, hoping the figure was not what she feared. Mommy, it was a small, soft voice. Relief flooded her like sunlight breaking through clouds. Is that you, Lily? She stepped closer, urgency pulling her forward. As the figure sharpened into focus, the warmth she expected twisted into cold terror. It wasn't he, her daughter. The entity that stood before her wore a face that was achingly familiar, yet grotesquely altered, like a reflection in a funhouse mirror. It was her daughter, but with hollow eyes, dimmed and void of life. It wore the same faded pink pajamas, but they seemed tattered, as if they had been clawed at. Help us, the voice repeated, chilling her bone deep. What have they done to you? Panic rose. Emily turned to flee, but found herself rooted in place, trapped by the horror unveiling before her. Mommy, you need to save us. The figure stretched out its hand, shadows crawling up its arm like snakes. Emily stepped back, shaking her head, choking on disbelief. I'll get you help. I swear. Just hold on. But fear crudely twisted her words. The thing before her morphed further with each denial, morphing into something she could scarcely comprehend. No help will come, it hissed. We are too far gone. Scream lodged in her throat. Emily turned, bolting towards the door. Yet, as she sprinted, the whispers surged, buzzed louder in her ears. Help us, we know what he did. The revelation recoiled her. The philanthropist, he had a hand in this. She had brushed too close to a truth hidden beneath layers of horror, one that lived and breathed right in her home. With sheer determination, she clasped her phone tighter, the light flickering back on. Emily turned, intending to face the fate waiting within. They waited behind her, mere echoes of the children she had lost. She had to confront the sinister truth, to break the spell shrouding her family with horror. As she entered the room, fear clawing at her throat, the air thickened. What do you want from me? The word hung like a loaded gun, waiting to go off. Suddenly, the light extinguished, plunging her into suffocating darkness. The last thing she heard before the silence swallowed her was her daughter's voice, a terrifying blend of innocence and despair. Come back, Mommy, help us. With her heart pounding like a drum in a funeral procession, Emily took a deep breath, steeling herself for the ghastly truth. What awaited her behind the fading boundary of sanity? And what dark revelations would urge her to confront the unnamed beast lurking in her own heart? The uncharted territory of terror stretched before her, waiting to unveil its grim secrets. The darkness enveloped Emily, suffocating and absolute. She felt her way through the nursery, hands outstretched, seeking familiarity in the shadowy void. Her heart raced, each thud echoing like a tolling bell, a reminder that time slipped through her fingers like sand. Mommy? Her daughter's voice drifted again, hauntingly close, yet agonizingly far away. Was it a cruel trick her mind played? Or had the whispers become something more? Emily pushed deeper into the darkness, determined to find the source. The air felt heavy, a pressing weight that drew her back as if unseen hands were pulling her into the depths. Desperation coursed through her veins. I'm coming for you, she called out, the trembling of her voice betraying her resolve. She fumbled for her phone, hoping against hope the device would cast light into the choking blackness. With a press of a button, a weak glow sputtered to life, cutting through the murk just enough to reveal the outline of a crib at the far end of the room. But something was wrong. As she approached, the light flickered violently, revealing souvenirs of twisted nightmares, a cracked mobile swinging eerily, shadows darting like wind-rustled leaves. She could feel the chill in the air, creeping up her spine like icy fingers. Was someone watching her? Why won't you help us? A chorus of distorted voices echoed, rising in pitch and urgency. Chills cascaded over her body. What do you want? She could barely breathe now. Turn back. Another voice shrieked, unrecognizable amidst the chaos. It's not safe. But she was almost there. Almost at the crib. Inch by inch, she dragged her feet. The light flicked more violently, revealing another shape, a figure crouched beside the crib. Who are you? Emily's voice cracked as she steadied her breath. She squinted, but the figure was cloaked in shadow, blending seamlessly with the darkness that seemed alive. Show yourself. The figure shifted, and a horrible realization washed over her. It's not just one. There were multiple figures now, starting to materialize in the corners, their faces twisted and obscured. Help us, they all echoed together, a chilling symphony of despair. Emily's pulse thundered in her ears as she stumbled back, heart racing in a panic. If she didn't leave now, she might be consumed by the darkness, swallowed whole by the truth they guarded. She spun on her heel, running for the door, but it slammed shut. The sound echoed like a gavel striking down. No, she whimpered, the realization clawing at her sanity. No, no, no. The whispers crescendoed, each syllable imbued with plaintive agony. She pressed against the door, pushing, struggling, but it wouldn't budge. Then, the lights flickered one last time before plunging her into complete darkness once more. Mommy, help us! A shriek split the silence, cutting through her like a dagger. It was Lily, closer now, nearer than before. Lily! Emily screamed, clawing at the darkness, willing the shadows to give way, to show her what lay hidden. She felt a tug at her sleeve, cold and clammy, dragging her downwards, deeper into unseen horrors. As her breath quickened, matching the frantic pace of her heart, a single thought crystallized in her mind: if the dark could not be fought, maybe, just maybe, She could embrace it. The fight was futile. What happened to the children? What terror did they know that imprisoned them in this nightmare? The shadows laughed, the sound like shattered glass, echoing her unraveling sanity as they pulled her into the abyss, and with one final thought of resistance, she wondered if she would ever escape this nightmare alive. Mommy, don't leave us. She was losing herself, but a haunting truth loomed, ready to unveil the horrors hidden under the surface. What had made them suffer so? As icy fingers gripped her throat, the room imploded around her, and darkness swallowed her whole. The last thing she felt was a relentless pull toward the truth. What would be revealed when dawn broke, shattering the illusion of safety forever? Emily gasped, the air thick with dread as shadows wrapped around her like a vice. She could no longer tell where she ended, and the creeping darkness began. Her lungs burned, a desperate reminder of the air she needed to breathe, yet all she could sense was the chill of those ghostly hands tightening around her throat. Mommy, don't leave us. The voices melted into an anguished wail, merging into one haunting cry. And suddenly Emily felt a flicker of warmth. A small hand grasped hers from the void. Lily? It was a whisper, a prayer. The hope of feeling her daughter's presence ignited a fire within her as she struggled against the pull of the abyss. But the shadows tightened, feeding off her despair, and it took every ounce of willpower to resist. Hold on to me, she shouted, gripping what felt like soft fingers, the familiar comfort she had longed for amidst the terror. I want to let go. But the shadows cackled with sadistic glee as more hands reached out from the inky darkness, snatching at Emily with icy ferocity. Every touch was a puncture, and they clawed at her spirit, drawing her deeper into their world of sorrow. Help us, Mommy. The chorus of childlike voices filled her ears, drowning out her thoughts, dissolving her memories of safety. Each word was a noose, tightening around her resolve. Get away, she roared. The power of her fear coalesced into a singular force, pushing back against the darkness. She staggered. Each step forward felt like wading through sludge, but she would not surrender. Then she saw a glimmer of light far ahead, pulsating in rhythm with her pounding heart. It flickered like a distant sun trying to break through the storm clouds. Without thinking, she lunged towards it, praying it would lead her to Lily. The darker shapes howled, their cries a tormenting symphony, but she pressed on, her mind a whirlwind of focus. Lily, just a little farther. The light swelled, illuminating the room in a brilliant glow that pushed back the shadows. Faces appeared, twisted with anguish, their eyes hollow and pleading. They were trapped, just like her, bound by something far more sinister. Mommy! A voice cut through, sharper than the rest. Emily turned, and there stood Lily, pale and trembling. Her eyes were wide and filled with tears. She reached out, and Emily felt a rush of warmth envelop her, stirring her heart into overdrive. Lily, she cried as she surged forward, embracing her daughter. I found you. We're getting out of here. But the instant they touched, the world around them convulsed, the nursery walls bulging outward as if the very structure strained against the shadow's weight. No, the figures wailed, their voices blending into an angry roar. You cannot take her. She belongs to us. With every ounce of strength, Emily pulled Lily close, forcing her to meet her fierce gaze. The light flickered, threatened by the pulse of darkness retreating, but not without resistance. The shadows clawed at them, battling against the love that tethered them together. Stay with me, Lily, just a little longer. As the room began to implode, fragments of memories surged through Emily's mind. Laughter shared, bedtime stories, moments of love she had fought to protect. This connection would shield them from the darkness. Together, she shouted, her voice a rallying cry against despair. But just as hope gleamed on the horizon, a piercing scream erupted, echoing through the darkness. You will regret this. The walls shook as the figures erupted into a tumbling mass, racing towards them, desperately reaching out. Emily's resolve crumpled under the weight of their wrath. In that split second, doubt crept into her mind. What if they were right? What if they couldn't escape? Emily clutched Lily tighter, her heart hammering in her chest as darkness pressed in, threatening to steal everything she knew. The light flickered once more before bursting into a brilliant flare, flooding the room with blinding brightness. And then silence. The shadows retreated, but a growing whisper clawed at the edges of her mind. Mommy, help us. What had they done? What was waiting on the other side when the light flickered out? With that thought crystallizing into terror, Emily began to feel the weight of the dark reassembling behind her, preparing to strike once more. Could they truly escape, or would they become part of the darkness forever? She took a deep breath, steeling herself for the darkness that loomed, a shadow at their backs. What awaited them beyond? Only the shifting shadows held the answer. The blinding light enveloped them, yet it felt more like a harbinger of false safety rather than salvation. Emily squinted, trying to adjust her eyes. As clarity returned, she realized they weren't in the nursery anymore. Instead, they stood in a vast, empty space, indistinct and gray, a void that stretched endlessly in every direction. Mommy, Lily's voice was soft, breaking the thick silence. Yes, darling, I'm here, Emily replied, her heart racing. She grasped Lily's hand tighter, an instinctive anchor against the fear creeping in. But where were they? A cold wind whispered around them, faint murmurs just out of reach, wrestling with Emily's sanity. She could still hear echoes of the tortured cries, shadows seeking retribution. We can't stay here, Lily, she urged, glancing around for any sign of an exit or a way back to the world she recognized. As she took a step forward, the ground beneath them rippled as if it were made of water. Gritting her teeth, she pressed on, forcing her feet to carry her, to lead them away from this disorienting abyss. Suddenly, a shadow darted past, fast and silent, sending a chill racing down Emily's spine. Did you see that? She whispered, her body tensing. I don't know, Lily stammered, eyes wide and searching the expanse for what lurked within. Mommy, I'm scared. Stay close to me. Emily cast desperate glances around, adrenaline surging in her veins. They had to find an escape. The whispers grew louder, a cacophony of disembodied voices swirling around them. Join us, forever save us, the sounds twisted inside her head, layering temptation over desperation. Faces materialized in the mist, hollow eyes, gaping mouths demanding to be heard. Each face was a history, begging for release. Emily shivered at their agony. Just keep moving, she shouted, trying to drown out the chorus of sorrow. She shielded Lily with her body as they stumbled forward. The shadows waved like tendrils, sly and hungry, clawing at the edges of her resolve. They stepped cautiously, inertia pulling them back as if the void wanted to reclaim them. Trenches of darkness divided the landscape, each deep enough to swallow the strongest of wills. We need to cross, she said, a hint of determination ignited within her. The only way was forward. Holding tightly to Lily's hand, Emily leaped. The sensation of weightlessness consumed them, and for a brief moment, they were suspended in time. It felt like flying until they landed hard, sprawling on cold ground. As they stood, panting and shaken, a figure materialized ahead. It was a man, cloaked in shadows, his face obscured but his presence suffocating. Emily felt the air thicken. He radiated malevolence. What have you done? He growled, his voice a low rumble that sent vibrations through her core. Leave us alone, Emily shouted, instinctively shielding Lily. Panic clawed within her, loathing the chill of fear gripping her. The man pointed, and suddenly the shadows erupted, converging with ravenous intent. You've taken what is mine. No, Emily screamed, and the darkness surged as if summoned by her anguish, dissolving the boundaries of reality. Lily trembled by her side, uncertainty flaring in her wide eyes. Mommy, I can't. Emily grabbed Lily's shoulders, forcing her to focus. We need to fight. Remember our love. Remember us. But the face of the man contorted, smirk widening in triumph, and the whispers churned into an uproar, drowning out Emily's thoughts. Then, it hit her a desperate idea. Lily, if they want us to join them, let us make them regret it. Let us show them our love is stronger. As darkness and light collided, Emily pressed her forehead against Lily's. Together, with all our love. The shadows hesitated. The man staggered back. A glimmer of hope ignited within Emily as she felt the spark of their connection, something pure, something defiant. But then, a blaring alarm broke through the whispering darkness, jarring them back to reality. The void around them began to crack, light spilling through the fissures as the man shrieked in panic. Where's the light? You can't escape. The Ground trembled violently beneath their feet. What is happening? Lily's voice trembled, but Emily refused to falter. We're going to find out. They both screamed in unison, the world around them splintering like glass, ready to reveal the truth lurking beyond the shadows. And in that slice of a heartbeat, the waiting became unbearable. What awaited them in the world once they escaped the darkness? Would all their battles lead to freedom, or was there something more sinister on the other side? The ground shook violently, sending Emily and Lily sprawling to the floor again. The crackling light around them expanded, illuminating the dull grayness, blurring the edges of reality. Shrill screams echoed, mixed with the man's voice still howling for them to remain. "Emily, we have to go?" Lily shouted, panic squeezing her voice. "We will, I promise." Emily looked down at her daughter, urgency stamped on her face. "Just hold my hand, and don't let go." With a swift movement, she gripped Lily's fingers tightly, as if building an unbreakable chain of love and determination. The shadows writhed, their whispers growing louder, the cacophony building to a thunderous roar. Suddenly, the ground beneath them cracked open, a dark abyss forming into a gaping maw ready to consume them. Emily braced herself, her feet digging into the flaking surface. She screamed into the encroaching darkness, "We won, to be taken. We are stronger. Together." And at that moment, the light burst bright, shattering the shadows. The man shrieked in rage, his form jittering at the core of the luminescence. Emily felt a surge of energy flowing through her, transforming her fear into raw strength. "Keep that light close," she yelled to Lily, urging them forward, away from the shadows clawing at their heels. They raced toward the startling brightness, the air thick with electricity, sparking with the intensity of their will to survive. As they sprinted, Emily caught sight of a fragmented world around them, a series of doors lined in the horizon. Each door pulsed with its own unique glow, a stark contrast to the grasping shadows enveloping everything else. "Mommy, can we go through one?" Lily's wide eyes sparkled with both fear and awe. "Soon, sweetheart. Just keep running." Every footsteps echoed loudly, the rapid thumping of their hearts shaking her confidence. Emily felt the suffocating presence of the man weaving through the darkness, lingering just beyond the edge of the light. The whispers morphed into shrieks of despair and fury, filling her ears. "No, you cannot escape," he roared, his voice crashing like thunder. Lily stumbled but steadied herself, determination sparkling in her eyes. "Mommy, I see one. Over there." A door stood starkly amidst the shadows, glinting shimmering gold in the light. Its surface was smooth, enticing, almost inviting. Emily hesitated, mind racing. What if it's a trap? The man snarled, the shadows swirling around him like a storm. "Join me. You belong with us." "No," Emily shouted back, forcing herself to step toward the door. "We belong together, not in your darkness." Feeling the weight of choice pressing heavily on her, she took a final glance back. The man's eyes glowed with a hungry madness. You cannot defy the inevitable. Before she could lose her nerve, she pulled Lily with her toward the door, willing it to be their escape, their salvation. As they reached the door, the ground trembled beneath them again. The man's shadow lunged forward, but Emily threw open the shimmering door just in time. A blinding light burst forth, wrapping around them and pulling them in. What lay beyond was unfathomable, a swirling cosmos of light and color, both beautiful and terrifying. The air smelled electric and tasted like survival, but the thrill of escape flickered like a flame in the wind. Where had they landed? As they began to fall into the unknown, Emily clutched Lily close, whispering, "Whatever happens, we'll face it together," and then they hit the ground hard. They tumbled into a luminous clearing, stars twinkling above, but the remnants of darkness lingered in the air, casting an ominous shadow over their oasis. Suddenly, a voice pierced the tranquil night. "You think you've escaped?" It was the man, and from the swirling shadows, faces emerged, those tormented souls begging for their own release. Every choice has its price. Emily stiffened, the terror of the situation crashing over her like waves. "We have to find out how to break this cycle." She turned to Lily, her heart racing. But how? In that moment, the weight of dread settled like lead in the air, and uncertainty gnawed at the edges of hope. If they thought they had escaped, What new horror awaited them in this world where shadows were never far behind? The clearing pulsed with a disquieting rhythm, the stars above flickering ominously like dying candles. Emily felt the cold sweat pricking at her skin as the shadows writhed closer, forming grotesque shapes that jostled against the brilliant light. "Mama, I don't like this place," Lily whimpered, her voice barely a whisper against the howling silence. "It feels wrong." "Stay close, Lily. Hold my hand," Emily replied, squeezing her daughter's fingers tighter still. The echoes of the man's laughter blended into the whispers of the souls surrounding them, a chilling reminder of the darkness that had chased them. "Every choice has its price." The man's voice lingered, dripping with malevolence. Emily strained to see his form materializing from the gloom. He stepped closer, shadows flickering around him like a dark halo. His eyes glistened with a fierce hunger. "Torn between two worlds?" he mocked, his grin revealing predatory intent. "You made a choice to escape me, but you only traded one prison for another." The air shivered as a fresh wave of despair rushed through Emily. What did he mean by that? Wasn't he trapped, was she? A fleeting thought tugged at her heart. Was there a way to rescue the tortured souls? "Mommy, what if we let them go?" Lily spoke up, her innocent suggestion pulling Emily from her spiraling fear. "Lily, I don't know," if Emily hesitated. "Please." They look sad. Her daughter's eyes brimmed with tears, their reflection shimmering among the stars. That hesitation flickered like a flame in the wind. But Emily couldn't shake the fear that these souls were more than they seemed. They swirled around them, whispers growing sinister, urging her to join. "Help us," they begged, voices overlapping, tugging at Emily's heart. "We only want peace." "But what if you pull us in?" Emily questioned, glancing back at the man. "What if you're just waiting to trap us? You think you know fear, but you haven't felt the true price of freedom." The man sneered, stepping forward with swift grace, a predator closing in on prey. "Those souls are bound by the same shadows that haunt you." As Emily breathed heavily, weighing her choices, a dark figure appeared beside the man, another wretched soul, arms outstretched in supplication. It moaned, "I linger because I chose wrong. Replace my chains with yours." "What do I do?" Emily gasped, her heart racing. Each choice seemed to weave a tighter net around her, danger snickering in the corners. Lily's pleading eyes searched her mother's, shimmering with innocent hope. "Maybe they can help us," she murmured softly, a flicker of belief igniting against the dark backdrop. Panic clawed at Emily's throat. Her mind raced through possibilities: the bright door behind them, the cosmos around them, the souls in desperate need of salvation. What if the darkness around the man was simply fear masking itself as fate? Together, Emily breathed, recalling the bond that had driven her through this treacherous journey. "Maybe we can find a way." As she surveyed the grotesque faces, realization washed over her. If we choose to free them, we invite the shadows back to their rightful places. But what did that mean for Lily? Would they, too, be trapped? Before she could consider the consequences, the air crackled with tension. Each tormented face twisted in frustration. The man cackled. "You think you can save them? You'll be dragged into their unrest." Emily steadied her breath, adrenaline coursing through her veins. "We'll take our chances." With a surge of courage, she called to the tormented souls. "If we help you, we ask for our freedom in return. But you must promise not to drag us into the darkness again." A moment of silence hung heavily, the balance between salvation and despair teetering on acceptance. Then the ground shook again, but differently, a tremor of awakening rather than destruction. The man let out a howl of rage, shadows swirling violently around him, reaching towards Emily and Lily. "Foolish mother, your choice will haunt you." As the darkness curled around them, Emily felt a suffocating grip on her throat. Was this truly their salvation, or merely a deeper entrance into despair? "Help us before it's too late," the shadows wailed, echoes filling her ears like a storm. She had to act fast. The next decision loomed over her like a guillotine, and time slipped through her fingers. Could they truly break free together? Or was the price she was willing to pay too great to bear? The shadows surged, and Emily realized the choice wasn't just simple. The real question now was, at what cost? As the ground beneath them trembled, Emily felt the darkness pressing in, suffocating her every breath. She could see the tortured souls swirling like autumn leaves caught in a vicious wind, their faces twisted in anguish. Each pleading gaze pierced her heart, each whisper igniting a flare of desperation within her. "Mommy." Lily's grip tightened on her hand, small fingers trembling. Fear radiated from her, palpable and raw. "Hold on tight," Emily whispered, swallowing her terror. She dared not look back at the man. She could practically feel the gleeful hunger radiating from him. Her heart thumped like a solitary drum, echoing against the oppressive silence that followed his laughter. "Are you scared?" Lily's voice trembled, a reflection of the chaos enveloping them. Emily knelt to meet her daughter's gaze. "No," she lied, fighting to keep her voice steady. "We're going to be okay. I promise." The rumble of the ground shifted again, more violent this time, cracking like thunder. The shadows danced wildly, funneling towards them, their whispers merging into a dissonant choir of despair, beckoning her into their depths. "Join us," they sighed, luring her with haunted cadence. But there was a flicker of light emerging from within the shadows, a dazzling spot that refused to fade. Emily squinted at it, a beacon amid the darkness, and in her heart, she felt the glimmer of hope. "Trust me, Lily. We have to trust in that light." With a fierce determination, Emily tore her gaze away from the encroaching darkness and turned towards the light. "If we unite with the tortured souls, perhaps we can usher them into peace and save ourselves in the process. It's a risk we must take. Can't we just run?" Lily cried, glancing at the dark figure who had begun to swirl, his form becoming more defined and sinister. "I don't like this. They've suffered too long," Emily urged, her voice cracking as she grappled with the gravity of her words. "We can't leave them." But inwardly, doubt roiled like a storm. What if liberating them meant doom for them both? Every choice has its price. The man rumbled, his shadow stretching taller, fiercer, as he stepped forward. "You dare think you can bargain with the damned?" Emily darted a glance toward the souls. Their faces were contorted with pain, and yet a flicker of something pure glimmered in the depths of their profound sorrow. This was not just a fight for her family, but for countless restless spirits as well. "Then we will pay whatever necessary," she shouted into the dark, her voice ringing with a newfound resolve. "We choose to stand with you." "Fools!" The man snarled, his laughter echoing like rolling thunder. He unfurled his arms, the shadows swirling around him in a frenzy that mirrored the chaos within Emily. "This is your final chance to break free, and you willingly choose your chains." Suddenly, the light in the distance flickered, synchronizing rhythmically with the distant cries of the souls swarming around them. Emily felt the urge to step forward, a compelling draw toward the shimmering hope, but the ground erupted beneath her an urgent, terrifying maelstrom of fury and despair. "Mommy!" Lily screamed, her voice puncturing the storming chaos. Then, before Emily could react, the ground tore apart. A chasm opened where they stood, shadows reaching toward them like eager hands. Before she could answer, Emily stumbled backward, her breath coming in short gasps. They were teetering, on the brink of oblivion. "Lily, hold on." The darkness clawed more fiercely, a hideous tempest threatening to drag them into the abyss. With one final push, Emily rallied the last shred of courage deep within her gut. "We will not be your prisoners," she declared, grasping her daughter's hand tighter, feeling her little heartbeat thrumming beside her own, and leaped toward the light. As they plunged into the unknown, the chilling roar of the man echoed behind them. "You will regret this choice." And as light enveloped them, a realization struck Emily. They had crossed a threshold they could never return from. What lay ahead in that brilliance? Is this freedom? She wondered, the question hanging heavy in the air. Then a silent scream erupted, blending with Lily's wide-eyed terror. The cost of their choice was yet to reveal itself, lurking just beyond the veil of light. What waited on the other side? Would it be salvation or something far worse? The light flickered like a dying star, and when it finally settled, Emily and Lily found themselves standing in a familiar place, a small park, sprinkled with the laughter of children and the soft rustle of leaves. The sun shone brilliantly overhead, casting a warm embrace upon them. For a fleeting moment, Emily's heart swelled with relief. Had they truly escaped? "Lily, look!" She pointed at the swings, the slide, and the sandbox where children played freely, without a care in the world. It was their neighborhood playground, the very heart of their suburban life. But even as joy ignited in her chest, a nagging suspicion crawled beneath her skin. It was too quiet, too perfect. Mommy? Lily's small voice pulled her back. Is this our home now? What if it is? Emily thought, glancing around. In that radiant moment, she finally allowed herself to believe that they had found peace. But as they wandered closer, a shadow stirred at the corner of her vision. Emily turned sharply, a coldness settling in her bones as memories of dark tendrils clawed at her mind. The faces of the lost children, those who had whispered for help, their pleading eyes haunted her. Was their escape merely another trap? Mommy, I want to go on the swings. Lily tugged at her sleeves, her innocence cutting through Emily's dread. It was a simple wish, one that rang sweet and pure. Emily couldn't let fear dictate their lives any longer. Okay, sweetheart, let us go swing, Emily sighed, forcing a smile despite her fears. They walked over, the bright colors of the playground enveloping them like a comforting blanket. As Lily climbed onto a swing, her laughter chimed like music, filling the air with hope. But then the light around them dimmed ever so slightly, and with it came an uncomfortable awareness, a feeling of being watched. Emily glanced around again, her heart racing. A figure lingered at the edge of the park, lurking just beyond the shadows of the trees. It was the man, the shadows swirling around him like a dark cape, his eyes fixed intently on them. Did you really think you could escape? He crooned, amusement dancing in his voice. You're still trapped, Emily. You've brought your fears with you. The joy evaporated from the air like mist in the sunlight, leaving a bitter chill in its place. No, this is our freedom. Emily screamed defiantly, holding Lily close. You don't get to decide who we are? Such spirit. He laughed, cutting through the playground's innocence. The shadows crept closer, and Emily felt the darkness threatening to devour her hope. Let us be, she cried, pulling Lily closer. The girl's small fingers tightened around her hand, exactly as they had when they faced the darkness together before. It gave Emily strength. We will fight, Emily shouted, pulling the warmth of love around her like armor. We choose love over fear. We choose hope over despair. The air crackled, and for a moment, Emily thought she saw the light pulse brightly again. Something shifted in the shadows, and the man hesitated, uncertainty crossing his face. Sharp tendrils of darkness recoiled, vibrating from the force of Emily's conviction. Help us, came the chorus, not from the man, but from the very souls he commanded. Emily felt it, the longing, the desperation for release. They weren't merely shadows, they were echoes of lives once lived, trapped within his grasp. Together, Emily whispered to Lily, swallowing her fear. We can do this. With every ounce of love she had for her daughter and the countless souls seeking peace, she lifted her voice. We choose to set the lost free. You have no power here. The very ground pulsed as the shadows jerked back in resistance, the swirling forms faltering under the weight of her declaration. You cannot have us. Laughter spilled from her heart, resonating against the darkness. Make it stop. The man howled, twisting and contorting as the light surged forward, cutting through the shadows. Emily could feel the warmth of love washing over her, echoing back the same energy she dedicated to fighting the dark. Then, with a final push, something incredible happened. The light expanded, engulfing the entire playground, chasing the shadows away, dissolving the darkness until only newfound clarity remained. As the shadows fled, so too did the man, leaving behind nothing but restless whispers on the wind. And in that moment, Emily felt it transform into clarity. The park, once choking with fear, now sparkled with hope. Children once unseen emerged from the shadows, their faces bright, laughter filling the space again. Mommy, it's so bright, Lily chirped, swinging higher, her joy infectious. Emily's heart soared. It wasn't just them. They had freed not only themselves, but all the lost souls they had encountered. Their love and determination shattered the fear that had bound them. Look, Lily, she pointed, tears of joy streaking down her cheeks. Look at what we did. Yes, Mommy, we did it. The playground pulsed with vitality around them, a testament to the strength of love and unity. Finally, they had triumphed over darkness. And as they swung side by side under the radiant sun, Emily felt hope settle deep within her heart, a soft confirmation that they were finally home. This new world shimmered with possibilities, and as time passed, the memory of fear faded, replaced by laughter and love exactly as it should be. If you love this conclusion, you need to subscribe now. Don't wait even one more second to hit that button. Smash the like button to keep the algorithm gods happy. I want to hear from you. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about Emily's journey and what it all means. And the most important part? Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who would love to dive into these thrilling tales. They need to see this. Let us not keep this story a secret, bring them into the family.